Hello and welcome to the Spirit Save. My name's Rob. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. So we've had the channel going for a while now. And there's been a big focus on Scotch single malt. I've done one blend so far, Johnny Walker Red, but I've not done a blended malt whiskey, blended malt Scotch whiskey. So I figured now is the time. I'm not going to start with the obvious blended malt, the Milky Shoulder, but I will start with something a little bit unusual. It's the 6 Isles Reserve, bottled for Marks and Spencer, a UK retailer, kind of mid-premium in its outlook. So it's not Harvey Nichols or Selfridges, but it's not Aldi or Lidl either. It's kind of mid-premium, and it's a nationwide retailer. So this is a blended malt from distilleries on 6 different islands, and it lists them here: Skye, Mull, Islay, Orkney, Jura and Arran. And I've had assuming there's no Port Ellen in this, I've had a single malt from every distillery that could be in this bottle. So it doesn't tell us a great deal. It's bottled at 40%. It's a very light colour, so I'm thinking that this probably is natural colour. There's a big clue as to where this might have come from, and that is that there is a 6 Isles Reserve bottled by Ian MacLeod, and this bottle does have a fairly legible signature on it. It says Gordon something, and Gordon Doctor is the chief blender at Ian MacLeod. So I think Marks and Spencers have bought the Ian MacLeod stuff and watered it down to the legal minimum of 40%. Can't remember what I paid. I bought it last Christmas when I was over in the UK. Somewhere between 25 and I can't imagine I spent 35, but I'm thinking 25 to 33 pounds, something along that, something in that order. It's nicely packaged with this black and gold theme. I do quite like it. I like the way they've put it together. Understated. So yeah, I was keen to check this out, and let me tell you what we have. It's very sweet, almost a white dessert wine sweetness to it. There is a little bit of peat, but it's quite sweet and restrained, a little bit like the Bunnahabhain Kilbannock, but obviously there's much less of that in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Islay representative is a peated Bunnahabhain. Oats and honey. Kind of an ice cream wafer or caramel wafer note to it. Overripe banana and a ginger, and occasionally a ginger snaps note kind of catches up with you. There's a slightly green vegetable note, kind of vegetal note, sorry, not vegetable, kind of like a kelp or seaweedy note, but it's sweet. It's not bitter or unwelcoming. It is very definitely an island or coastal note. So they've blended this to bring out the island or coastal note. So you get the wet rocks, wet barnacles, seaweedy type notes. The peat, as I've said, is quite restrained and sweet and inviting. It's not going to be too challenging for those of us who really enjoy the very peated Islay whiskies. And in my notes, I did say that it had a young alcohol tang on the nose, but I'm not picking this up at the moment. Very light and sweet. Almost a marshmallowy sweetness. Later, there is a little tang of bitterness on the palate. It is a little bit thin and watery. I think it suffers at 40% a little bit. It's crying out for 43%. At the back of the throat, there's a little bit of peat and hazelnuts, very, very clearly, with maybe a bit of pine nut in, as well at the back. And I'm now picking up that ginger snap note on the nose. Sweet peat. Really easy drinking. The finish is fairly briny. I do get a toasted tea cake note with the currants. A very slight off bitter note. This is not a particularly old whiskey. Only a little bit though. It is a little bit watery, it is a little bit thin, but the finish, when you've had a glass or two, it does start to progress, it does stick around for a while. The spearmint and oat cakey biscuity note also on the finish. So this is very nice for what it is, a 40% blended malt from a supermarket, really. I have to say, if it was sitting next door to the actual one from Ian McLeod, I would probably be buying that because that's bottled at 43. And this really is crying out for 43 or 46% ABV. So if you have access to this from Marks and Spencer's, that means you also have access to the Ian McLeod bottling. So even though I haven't tried that one, that would probably be my next buy. But this is just a really fun, light, easygoing thing. Worth the money I paid for it. But if you can't get access to this, then a Glenglassaugh Torfa or a Lachig 10 showcases the coastal notes and the peat very, very well. So there's nothing here that you can't really find elsewhere, but on its own terms, it's an enjoyable, fun thing. Anyway, I have enjoyed this. Stay tuned. This was the 6 Hours Reserve from Marks and Spencer. We might have some more UK sourced unusual things. I don't know whether I'll have time to do another blended malt before the end of this year, but I do plan to do another blend for you very, very shortly. Fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. Stay tuned and see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.